Hey, thank you for attending Monday, July 17th at 4:30 p.m. This is a hybrid meeting. You want to take over?
Okay, yeah, sure. I'm gonna call to order the City of Brisbane Public Art Advisory Committee meeting. According to the agenda, first we will have roll call.
Mhm. And we didn't have anybody asking for emergency circumstances. Roll call, Chair Greenlee,
Present?
Vice Chair Salmon,
Here.
Mayor Davis.
Here.
Councilmember Cunningham.
Here.
Park and Rec Commissioner Sewell.
Here.
Committee member Glassman is not here, and committee member Kelstadt. Good.
Okay, approval of agenda. Can I get an approval of the agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda.
Second.
Roll call.
Chair Greenlee,
Aye.
Vice Chair Salmon.
Here. Aye.
Mayor on to the doesn't matter. Mayor Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Cunningham.
Aye.
Park and Recreation Commissioner Sewell.
Aye.
Committee member Kelstadt.
Okay, then we can move on to the approval of minutes. We need to approve minutes from June 26, 2023. May I get an approval of the minutes?
Second.
Roll call.
Greenlee,
Aye.
I'm sorry. Chair Greenlee, Vice Chair Salmon,
Aye.
Mayor Davis, it was abstain. Councilmember Cunningham, Park and Recreation Commissioner Sewell,
Aye.
committee member Kelstadt, abstain. Great, thank you.
And now we move on to item C, public hearing, a review proposed private art installation from project. Art installation project from phase 3.
All right, so we have representatives from phase 3 here with us today. They are the developer of the Genesis Marina Life Sciences campus out at Sierra Point. They came forward before the committee previously to present a preliminary design for privately installed public art on their campus. And they're here today to present their full complete package to the committee for the committee's review and discussion. And so we will allow them to do that, and then we will open up the public hearing for public comment and then have committee discussion. Ultimately, you would be making a recommendation to City Council to move the project forward, and City Council is the final authority through this process. So at this time, I will go ahead and kick it over to John, if you're ready, to give your presentation.
Yes, and thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're excited to present what we've prepared here. You guys all, looks like you all have a package there. And on our team, again, this is our third time meeting with you guys, but we've got a lot of the same players here. So just wanted to give a quick introduction. Again, myself, John Evans, I'm the Director of Development and been handling this project from the start of this kind of art presentation. And then we also have our architect on the call, Skidmore Owings Merrill. We've got the artist of the CO2 sculpture on the call, Ivan, and the dealer for the bronze figures, Noah, on the call as well. And then lastly, we have our company owners, Neil Fox and Michael Garrity. We started curating this art about six months ago and had a vision for doing something with Ivan's art that was something where we could bring forth a powerful message about scientific challenges, and we pulled together this concept. I want to toss it to Neil Fox, who's kind of the brainchild of this. Neil, are you able to speak?
Hold on one moment. And who all, so I can kick over Neil to a panelist. Do you want me to move everybody over to panelists? I have Mike Garrity, AC, Michael Duncan, Ivan, and Dan.
Yeah, go ahead and move Dan, and we'll also have Ivan and Noah if they're on the call.
I don't see a Noah.
Go ahead and yeah, just
Mike is also part of phase three too.
Hi, Neil.
Hello, excuse my messy hair and my surroundings. I'm actually about 100 miles off the coast. Out
Oh,
the ocean.
nice.
Nice.
on a boat, that's crazy.
And internet connection.
That's a good.
Oh.
look.
You,
That's a good look.
you went 12 feet outside
about
of the road.
There you go, she's back.
We're excited about it, and I don't know if you how much you know about phase 3, but we are a life science developer. We have a partnership to start with Harvard management company that's transitioned now over to Bain Capital. They're an exclusive partner. We have about 5 million square feet of life science only product in our portfolio between San Diego, San Francisco, Bay Area, and the Boston area. San Francisco being in currently the most dominant market in our portfolio, probably about 3 million of our 5 is in the Bay Area. So this project is, I would say, you know, we did the South Tower projects, which you guys might be familiar with. We built one of the 2 buildings there and did our life science spec program there that was very successful. It has led to this project here, which I think by far is our best project to date. We're super excited the way it's turning out, along with the art that's being proposed. And the reason we're proposing this art is because everything we do is for, you know, the people sitting on this call and really people around the world. Life science is there to serve people. And the reason, and so we try to bring that into the different various art projects that we do, have some meaning behind it, not just a random piece of art, but something that has some sort of meaning. And one of the things that's very interesting today is you know, CO2. And I mean, it's had a huge impact on our project. Even there in Brisbane, we had to do certain things for our project in consideration of potential impacts that CO2 has. But as I was thinking about it, you know, there is so much discussion around this particular molecule that is a life-giving molecule. We would all not be here today if it wasn't for this molecule. It feeds the plants that the animals and birds and fish, I mean, everything, you know, basically is fed by this molecule. And so it's a big part of our lives, whether we realize it or not, it just is. And so it's also kind of an elegant, you know, with Ivan's skill set, it's an elegant molecule. It's not, look, you could do a lot of different molecules, but having a 3-piece molecule, we thought fit the space really well. We could size it, we could afford it. A lot of different things went into it, but the main thing was that it spoke to what we're doing in the project, and that's working with companies that are trying to better all of our lives through creating products that help heal mankind in various, you know, our various elements that we face through life. And then the other pieces that we found were basically, I mean, I was driving through Palm Springs and I saw them and I thought they were really, really interesting looking and would fit what we were doing there. And so again, they're human scales. It's about humanity. And I felt it tied in with the project. And we're working on elements within the inside of the buildings that would also be somewhat, there's an artist over in Switzerland that's very interesting that paints these amazing kind of human figures, but very dense crowds of human figures that make very elegant artwork. And so we're talking to her about maybe a you know, 20 by 20 commission piece. It would be a very, very large piece. We don't do a lot of art. I mean, one of the themes of our projects across our portfolio is we try to make them, if you kind of think of Northern European architecture, we are trying to be a very clean, simplistic approach
We were waiting for his service to come back on. The art, the paintings that he was mentioning, that's just to be clear, not part of this package. It's interior art. So we haven't included it as part of this package. You might have timed out. I want to toss it to Michael Duncan. Oh, there we go.
Through the South Tower project was how elegant Jack Myers did that first project. So, you know, we're excited about this, and I'll turn it over if you have any other questions of me, but that's kind of where the inspiration is. We want to bring things into the project that speak to what the scientists are doing in those projects, and that's really working on things that help better humanity.
Great. Well, thanks, Neil. I don't know, Dan, can you share a screen?
Sure.
Now, you've seen probably some of this before, so I'll go quickly. Maybe go up to the very front of the presentation. Thank you.
Yep.
Next slide. You've heard a little bit about Genesis Marina. We'll talk a little about the artist, the artwork, and then the budget. Next, you're familiar with the context. One of the really interesting things about this site is it engages the freeway, engages the bay, and engages Sierra Point in a really powerful way. Next. And as you remember, one of the great things it does also is extends the Bay Trail. You can see in red, I can point that one out, Dan, where the existing Bay Trail comes around and then ends and cuts inboard onto Marina Avenue. We're extending it, as you remember, along the west side here, and that gives us a chance also to engage with the public and maybe engage the public in the art as well. The drop off and front door is really on Marina Boulevard right there, and we want to celebrate that moment as well.
I'll just add too, there is some wayfinding signs that kind of direct public up to the podium where this art will be placed.
And we've always thought of this as a very public podium, this raised space framed by these three buildings. And it gets you up high enough that you can actually get a view out over the bay. I think it'll be one of the great spaces in Brisbane. Next slide. We've had to build the parking as a 2 levels of deck, but that once you're up there, you get nice clear views out to the water. And these three buildings then create and frame this courtyard space and really make it a campus. Next. This is the view from the bay looking back, and you can see how it engages the Bay Trail here. We have these generous stairs that cascade down and a ramp that pulls people up onto this platform. We also have a health club at the base with these lawns you can see out in front. So we're looking at a very kind of public face on this side that engages the water and engages the Bay Trail. Next. And on the Marina Boulevard side, this is our drop off. You can see the two lobbies on either side, and then these steps that pull you up onto the courtyard podium level. Next. The project is coming together pretty nicely now. If you've seen the site, the major spaces are really framed, and it gives you a sense of kind of, it's quite a generous big space up there, but it is excellent, I think, for the opportunity to frame some important works of art. Next. And here, then you can see the entry on the left, the stairs are going up, and that space at the intersection of at the top of the stairs is going to be the piece that Ivan will be doing there, and we'll show you some visualizations of that. There's also an opportunity to see the artwork as you pass by the freeway, in that if you go down to the lower right there, depending on the speed of traffic, you'll have a little gap in there, and you'll get a little glimpse through. So we think it engages on many sides, but it's not just for the people who are in this complex. It really engages on all three sides. Next, is Ivan on here today?
Yeah, we included in the package just short bios of Ivan and Kurt. Is Ivan on the call?
All right, I'll take that as a no.
I think he's one of the attendees, but yeah, I don't know if we could make him a panelist if he wants to speak.
Is that possible?
Sure. Which one?
Yeah.
And Diane's there too.
All right,
Okay.
hold on, let me get Ivan over.
Yeah, if you could make Ivan a
moment,
panelist.
and then I need to get Diane over. Accept. Huh, oh, there you go. It's okay. And her. Oh, there she goes. Okay, just a lag.
So real quick, this is Neil. Before Ivan speaks, I just wanted to say a couple things. I found Ivan years ago, in like 2015, and really liked some of the works he was doing, and commissioned him for a piece in another project. And the piece he did for us in a project down here in San Diego, it turned out spectacular. Everybody that saw it and went through it. It's in the main lobby of the main building of the project. Just really liked the piece. And so, when I started doing this, thinking about a molecule, I thought of Ivan, but that was one of the reasons I thought of him. The other reason is he's an awesome person. He's a person that is so kind, so nice, and so fun to work with that, we were looking for excuses to do more with Ivan. So, and he's really talented, as I think you can see from some of his things. So I just wanted to say that it's not our first rodeo with Ivan, and hopefully this won't be our last one.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Evan. Maybe just talk a little bit about your work, maybe a little bit about your process and the opportunity here.
Yeah, I'll be glad to. And really, I just wanted to say thank you very much to Neil, and the whole team has been really wonderful. And like the same, I'd say back to Neil, he was wonderful to work for before, and I really enjoyed the experience. Anyway, I think you have probably my bio you've been able to look at. And I do a lot of different kinds of sculpture, but I have really become known for doing spheres in the last several years. And just in these photos, you could see the Cal Poly up in the San Luis Obispo Performing Arts Center, and then another one down in Sonoma, and then finally a 14-foot one over at the State Farm campus in Atlanta. There's just something about a sphere that is, I think it's very compelling and very beautiful, especially it plays well with, I think, most kinds of architecture, or even in wilderness. I think we all like a sphere. There's something innate in it, whether it's a planet, a cell, an egg, something along those lines. And I think this opportunity to do a 20-foot diameter, which is extremely large. It's funny, I'm finishing a 10-foot one in my shop, and it's next to a 20-foot one. And you realize it's really an 8-time expansion in surface and volume. It's really remarkable. And I think having the carbon dioxide molecule theme is going to look, I think, just going to be really spectacular in the setting.
Thanks, Ivan. And I didn't see Noah on to talk about Kurt Brill, but Kurt Brill is going to be the sculptor for 3 other pieces around the site, which we will show you in a second, but also a very accomplished sculptor that we included a bio in the package that you have.
So we selected 3 of Kurt's pieces to place throughout the campus.
I'll tell you a little bit about so Ivan's piece occupies, you can see the center of the courtyard, visible from the street, visible from the freeway, but also commanding the visible down the axes out toward the water, and really is the centerpiece of the courtyard. We chose 3 of Kurt's pieces and sort of arranged them selectively, starting at maybe at D as the entry. We have a series of steps, these planted steps. We have a seated figure that is visible from the street, visible from the lobbies, welcomes you as you come up the stairs, and welcomes you as you move through the 2 lobbies. You have good sight lines to it, and it has a sort of casual seating on our stepped pieces. The second, let's go to B, is a large seated figure at the step down that happens between our raised lawn zone, and it steps down to our wooden deck area. And this figure then commands the end of this end of the view, looks out toward the water, engages the landscape, engages the bay, and is really helps to anchor very much the other end of that courtyard, with everyone opening around it, and is really part of a really nice garden seating area at the end, at the north end of the courtyard. The third one is a standing figure, and we put it right down on the steps going up, engaging as you come up the stairs from the bay trail up to the top of the platform.
Great.
And really, once again, an invitational figure to invite people up into the public realm of the raised courtyard space. So maybe we just
Yeah, we included a short narrative in the package as well from Ivan that everyone should have with them, and then a few renderings of what Ivan's piece should look like up in the courtyard. Ivan, I don't know if you want to talk to this sculpture specifically.
I don't know if anybody has any questions concerning it, but I think it will be, the material on the large sphere is Corten steel, which is nice just as a practical note that it, is really maintenance free. It looks very dynamic. One of the things that I always like to point out is when you look at the sphere from any angle, it's transparent, but the edges always really define it as a sphere, which is something I really like. And then the smaller two are stainless steel, so they're going to be very distinct from the main one, and they're made up of a small kind of like little cross or little plus figures, which gives it a little, when you're close up, it almost looks a little spiky or spiny, but then from a distance, it reads as a just as a nice sphere, and it just gives it, I think, kind of an energetic quality.
there's a slightly raised planting zone you can see in here, and we'll develop that in a little more detail. The sculpture sits softly in that area, and there's then additional lighting that will happen here that will break the edge of the surface of the spheres and be a powerful piece at night as well. Maybe going out to the other end of the courtyard.
Yeah, so we included a short narrative about maintenance for those materials as well, if that's needed. And then, yeah, go.
The large seated Diana here is right at the transition between the raised platform area and the lower boardwalk area, and sits, you can see, get a sort of sense of the scale, sits right on the edge, engages both the open lawn area, but also very much part of that slight step down that happens. And when you're at the far end of the courtyard, you look right over that seating area. It's kind of like a ha-ha, slightly reduced down, right out to the water beyond. And this figure is an important frame. You can see how the trees also help to frame this on the edge of that opening. Standing figure is positioned on the first landing of the stairs here. So really engaging the public, engaging the bay trail. You can see it's at the intersection of the ramp. So when you come up the ramp, you also see it from that side. When you're at the top, you can look down on it. It's a little more intimate scale, and it's part of this stepped garden that goes up. Also a nice place to hang out and look out over the water or rest along the bay trail. Next, and the third figure sits on the steps, kind of up against the wall of the lobby on the right. So makes space for others to sit and join. Once again, lit at night, but part of the cascade of stairs, and very much engaged in really both lobbies as well, and visible from the street and the drop off.
Thanks, Michael.
Right, as
Start again.
massive as you.
Start
Oh,
again.
I'm sorry. And that figure is not quite as large as the other seated one that's up top. It's smaller.
That's right. It's a
Yeah,
little
okay.
slightly bigger than human scale. You can sort of get the dimensions on it. The seated figure in the courtyard is kind of scaled to the courtyards.
Yeah, huge. That's great.
That'll be a really monumental presence.
Yeah.
But it's pretty interesting that, we've got some big spaces, we've got some intimate spaces. We've got a lot of different ways to engage these three sculptures particularly.
Mhm.
And you sort of discover them as you come along.
I think the three are all in kind of three different states. You kind of one that is maybe pensive, one that is relaxing, and one that's kind of proud or something. Just all, you know, three of different variety of different emotions that you might get from each one.
So I wanted to ask the art committee one thing. The one that's stands down on the stairs by the, you know, the pathway. One of my questions was, you know, you will really only see that. You won't see that from too much up top. Maybe up in the buildings you will be able to look down and see it. But one of the questions I had was, would it make sense to have it out on the very point, you know, of the restaurant area instead of down there in the stairs? Because it would be engaged. It would be like she's kind of looking out over the ocean or the bay, out toward Candlestick or toward the freeway area, and everybody from the bay would be able to see it, and maybe it would help draw people up onto the plaza and not just go down to look at it.
So where's the restaurant in
Yeah.
image?
We're talking about C, and then we're talking about that little triangle patio there, just to the
Yeah,
right of where
maybe
it's currently located.
put your finger on the alternate site, which is really at the point of that right there.
Oh, put her there.
It's a much more prominent site,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but you're right up against the handrails and everything. Maybe go to slide 7. You can sort of see that maybe clearer.
You can kind of see some of the seating out there on that patio. There's a restaurant right inside that that curtain wall right on the podium level. There you go.
Where?
So put it over there, see where
Somewhere
there's
there.
people sitting, like little.
You're right out of
Right.
the prow of the ship there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Instead of being here, it'd be over here.
I like that better.
I think you need to add another one.
Why not another one, right?
You know, all in good time, all in good time. If we get at least up, we'll be able to.
No, I like that upper spot better. Kind of proud of the ship, like you said. That's nice.
Agree.
Oh, so I have several questions about what you're proposing, and I just don't know if we're at the point where we want to open it up to questions, or if you have more that you want to present.
No, I think that was it. The last was just budget at the end, and maybe we can go to the very last slide just to flash that up there. This is also including lighting and
Yeah, if we could actually want to discuss the budget. So this is a good place to put the slide. So I wasn't here at the last meeting, so I don't know exactly the extent of what you guys discussed, but I know the meeting before we had talked about, we had talked about the sculpted human-like figures, and we had discussed multiple genders. So that being like a suggestion. And so, but it seems like all of the statues are female figures, which, you know, I'm into that, but that's my vibe. But in thinking about like the community, I think that does the artist only do female figures?
primarily, I'll say.
Primarily. Okay,
Most of them are.
Talking life sciences, mother.
I know. I just know that was something that we had brought that up, like trying to see maybe like a different multiple representations and like different scales, which I think the scales of the sculptures are definitely present here. You have small, medium, and large, which is awesome. But I just, noticed that there isn't any male figures presented, or maybe more like unisex. And I was also, I'm kind of surprised that they're exact replicas of things that already exist.
Yeah.
Versus new original designs.
because like the seated Diana is what was an example given to us, which we all like really gravitated towards that.
Yeah.
But I wasn't expecting to see like the exact same piece.
So yeah, we started with those as examples. I think maybe we might have dropped in one different one, but these are our actual currently ready options. We'd have to explore if we were going to have a new figure created. There are some pretty long lead times. I think what I've heard from Julia is that these need to be completed and installed by the point of certificate of occupancy. So we'd be in a bit of a time crunch. I think
I
if
see.
we could work to try to find something that makes sense. Maybe we swap out one if that was an issue, but due to the timing of it all, something that's readily available is going to be.
So,
Are you
Yeah,
saying, wait, I have a question. Are you saying that the seated Diana or any of these are also being shown in other places in the world?
No,
That's
these
what
are
I'm saying.
original
Yeah,
creations.
they're originals to this. I think yes, they're not replicas of something. They're the
Okay.
original work.
There, okay.
Does that?
So this is not one that's in Palm Springs then?
yeah, we
It's-
would be shipping it from there.
Yeah, it's.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
I see.
She had a misunderstanding there.
Yeah, I thought you were just replicating, and so there would be two
No.
of the same piece. Okay,
No,
that's
and,
helpful.
and really, John hit the nail on the head. It's because, these type of pieces have such long lead times that, we kind of had to select from what he had available scale wise that would work for him.
Okay.
We could maybe ask him to change the name of. It's
Oh, my God.
there was really no intent to only choose a female gender. That
Mhm.
wasn't intended. It was really based upon seeing the art and liking it and saying,
Yeah.
wow, that could be a really good fit. And honestly, some of them, particularly Diana, to me it doesn't really look like a woman.
Right. I just know that these questions are like, someone's going to ask these questions later on down the line. So I am just trying to predict, like at the council level, right, that these questions may come up and they're going to look to the subcommittee of Karen and I, and we can then respond and say, hey, this is where the thinking came from. So this helps. The other thing I wanted to talk about was budget. So I noticed that if we look at the sculptures, not including like the CO2, right? There's the human-like figures. The total of that and the total of the planter modifications are almost the same cost. So for 3/4 of the art is the same cost, just as the planter modifications. So can you go into more details about the planter modifications and like why that's so high in contrast to the art itself?
So Julia reached out to me with questions about that specific line as well. It's a little misleading. The planter modifications also includes things like structural reinforcement in order to hold the CO2 sculpture. There's currently a concrete pedestal that's there right now. We have to chip down into that in order to get to the attachment point for the CO2 sculpture, do waterproofing, pour back, everything around actually installing that piece is kind of like got thrown into there. But we can provide it a better breakout if it helps them.
Yeah, I would do a more detailed budget because
We should just provide the contractor budget, John.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we will get picked apart
Yeah.
for it.
yeah,
for
we have
sure.
very budget conscious council. And the two of us aren't even necessarily what I would put in that, who we would put in that category, but I just know that that's gonna come up.
Yeah.
And so because of like that much, it needs that much. Would it make sense to think about putting it like on the grass or somewhere on physical ground where you don't need to spend so much on like reinforcement for the weight and everything?
But I so like it.
So we looked at a
I'm
lot
just
of
asking
different
questions.
structural options for it's as Ivan mentioned, this is a massive sculpture here. It's around 10,000 pounds, I think.
Um,
And
Well, I
this,
think, well, John, I think the answer to that is if we moved it somewhere else, we're doing structural upgrades to that area.
exactly. Yeah, it's anywhere we
We
put it.
actually- We had another piece that we're contemplating here, called Icarus. It's a very cool piece, but decided to go with this. And, we have some structural upgrade there already, but not enough. And then also when we bring the planter material in, that's adding some cost as well. But we just think the whole visual, because that's going to be a sitting area around that, to be able to have molecules sitting in the greenery, we in the landscape, we more power, kind of harmonious piece. It just might look, it's might look right. And so if we put it elsewhere, it's very likely, maybe we shave some money off, but it could even cost more depending on where we put it. Because
Okay.
it's going to need to be structurally upgraded as well. And what I would suggest is that we just give you the budget we got from the contractor to do it. And I will
Yeah.
tell you that honestly, everything today is shocking how much it costs. We're as developers, we're constantly, we keep thinking pricing is going to come down, but it just hasn't.
Yeah, it's absurd. And so in this budget and in your plans, are you anticipating adding any kind of signage? Because I think that, like, Neil, what you just talked about CO2 and why that resonates with phase 3, and then also the humans like sculptures, I think it would be really good to have something explaining, like, this is a CO2 molecule,
An
maybe
artist
this is why.
statement.
Yeah,
Artist
something
statement. Artist
in
statement.
both places.
Just to put in an artist statement, I think would be really wonderful.
Yes, we could do that.
Okay, great. Those are all of my questions. I don't know if anyone else.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment. If we can answer anything you can think of before the question is asked, we're in a much better position moving forward. Because we do have people, not just on council, but in our city, who like to drill down into the microscopic parts of everything.
Yeah,
So if you can answer those questions before those questions are asked, all the better for all of us.
yeah, or if
That's
we have
why
the
we-
answers.
that's- That's why we made the CO2 really big, so they could see it really easily.
I love it, Ivan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Can I just comment on the figures?
Yeah.
Okay, because I studied figures at the Royal College of Art in London. And my field of study was figurative art. And I see these more as gestures rather than specific people or sexes. I mean, I do see some female form, especially in the standing one. But I think what the artist is doing here is a very imperfect but gestural sculpture of the figure, just to get that gesture out there. It's not really so specifically gendered. That's my interpretation of it as somebody who's and also I would say that the woman figure is much more classically represented in classical art, so I could see why there's probably more in this guy's portfolio of women. But I see these more as just very stylized gestures. That's what I gotta say.
Well,
I think all the three pieces really kind of emote a kind of quality of life experience.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
I think you nailed it. The seated Diana is just so pensive and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love them.
I
Don't get me
love
wrong,
that
I
piece,
love
and
them.
Yeah, I think they're also beautiful, all of them, and where they're being placed, I really think it's exciting and it complements and it engages the space.
Yeah.
All, you know, the sphere, all of it, I find engaging in the space.
And it softens the space from being such a hard architectural space. Anyways,
I'd like to know what Ivan thinks about, Kurt's work being in with his work.
I like it quite a bit, and I agree very much about it being more like as a representational of just the human condition, honestly. And it's funny because so often I'll make something and somebody goes, well, that's not exactly, and it's like I never try to make anything exactly of what I'm trying to make. It's just kind of what the point. You're trying to do something that expresses an emotion or evokes a reaction. And I think his pieces are very beautiful. I mean, I look at them and it's not something I look at like a lot of other French artists who do these beautiful, women figures, Meloil, or these are, they're more challenging to me too when I look at them. And then the more you look at them, I find I get more appreciation. And having these spread around the campus, I think it's going to be a really nice fit.
I have a comment. I just for when you're putting this presentation together for us and for the public, I just quickly looked up the history of the name Diana. And it's Greek and Roman goddess, Diana, blah, blah, blah. And it says to shine or sky, Dies, Deus, or Duio, deity, godlike, and diem meaning universe. I think that kind of information might really speak to our community as well, because that takes it away from the girl thing. And, we're talking about a god or godlike universal figure.
Diana definitely looks the most unisex to me.
Yeah.
The others definitely look feminine.
Yeah.
But I can't tell because the arm is there. So I don't know.
Or the leg.
Yeah, I don't really know from if you're looking head on. I just think that it's important to ask this question because, like Karen said, the public is going to likely bring that up at some point or another, and to have for us to say that we already looked into that and we already have a really good response to that question is important. So
Maybe different angles of photography of each sculpture.
I don't even know that that's necessary.
I don't think any of that's necessary. I think that the crux here is that all of these are just so complimenting to the space, and they all are engaging. They're very engaging and interesting, and I can't wait to walk and see them.
yeah. I do have a quick question. For instance, if somebody wanted to sit on those arms, these things are sturdy enough for people to climb on them?
10,000.
Okay. I'm just asking the question.
Well, those aren't 10,000 pounds. Those are closer to 1,000 or,
Yeah.
but
So
yeah.
one thing that's, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, they're solid bronze. They're capable of.
Okay.
So one thing that is the dot where the red dot where the current sculpture is is in this plan, and then
No.
or that's where you're suggesting you move it to?
Yeah.
And then the original was more up the stairs? Oh, okay.
There, yeah.
Oh, I see, yeah. I think the closer that we can get something to the Bay Trail, the better, because that's where.
But she looks so perfect.
No, here or up here, they're talking.
Yeah, they're putting her up there.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think Dan, you actually have a rendering showing that place there, right? You think you could share that real quick?
I mean,
Somewhere, yeah. I
you
could
want to
try
be
dig that up.
called into, not just walk by and view.
I don't know. They'll just seem so far away from public spaces.
Restaurants.
But that serves their, the Bay Trail is where people are walking, right?
I'm gonna eat there.
Yeah.
I eat at Foundry and Lux. I know what you're saying.
That's why I would put her more out on the point that, far enough from the rail that somebody could be, but
Yeah.
between
right.
her.
Right in there, right?
Yeah,
But
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's what
Or here?
I think wherever is like most visible, if wherever you feel she's gonna be most visible.
I think she's most visible where they're putting her, where they've got the red area
Yeah, right
rather
there.
than down on the stair, because you'd have to come around that corner to see her.
Okay.
Whereas if she's up, if elevated, you'd be able to see her from below, as long as she's not too far back. Yeah, I think that's a good spot.
You said you think up here, up on the.
Yeah,
crowd, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, we agree. Yeah.
Probably even more to the point.
So do we have any more questions for phase 3? Otherwise, we need to open it for public hearing.
Yes, let's open it up.
let's open it up for public.
Yeah, because we're
Comment?
already almost
Yeah.
halfway.
All right.
Almost done with our meeting.
Okay,
And Diane, I guess, did not have anything to add. Diane, you're fine?
It's fine.
All right.
Wow.
Okay, I don't have anybody on Zoom, and I just checked my email. I don't have any email correspondence, and I
What
didn't
about that
receive
one chat down
anything
there?
in the early, oh, that was from earlier.
Okay.
But I just didn't clear it.
All right.
all right. Can we close public comment
So
then?
we close the public hearing
Yeah.
Okay.
and then committee discussion.
Does the committee have any final comments or questions?
Mm-mm.
The only comment I have is I am very excited about this. I think all of us here are very excited and I just love it. I just think it's going to be really exciting to walk through that and see that at different times of the day with different lighting, engaging with people.
Yeah.
It would be awesome to do like a ceremony with you
I was
guys
just gonna suggest that.
when, and I don't know if you'll like. If both pieces will be done around the same time. I mean, I assume it's all gonna coincide with the opening of, the campus, but. It could be nice to do like a art specific little ceremony that we can coordinate with you.
Yeah, with a nice little like public tour to all the 4 spots.
Yeah.
For
And I
locations
don't know
for
if
the
the-
public. that
Or
would
if the
be-
artists are available,
Yeah.
that's not critical. I mean, I know that they could be far away or whatever, but it would be nice to just celebrate with you this aspect of your project along, we'll celebrate the whole thing, but this part I think is especially exciting for this committee. So it'd be nice to celebrate that with you.
And this committee member uses the Bay Trail currently as my gym. So I have watched this project almost every day since the pile drivers were there.
Okay, so
Well, we match your guys' excitement and we'll absolutely, we'll plan for an unveiling when that time is ready.
oh, that'd be
The,
great.
the advantage of these 3 figures is since they are readily available, we can easily time it to be ready at the same time as the CO2 completion.
Cool.
Great.
Thank you.
I love that you had the artist on your presentation, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you. Yes,
Welcome.
thank you for your time.
Yeah, Ivan, get to work.
No, no joke. And anybody who wants to come up to Portland and help me, you're more than welcome to, okay?
Oh, we'll have a
Sorry,
partner.
missed it.
I just left last night.
Okay, so if we have no further comments, questions, then I think we need.
Are we ready to vote on a recommendation then?
Yes,
Okay.
I'll make a motion to recommend the proposal as it stands with just the modification of moving, is it Michelle? Which one? Actually,
The standing figure.
yeah, what is she called?
No, that's.
No, Michelle, to the proposed new location.
I-
I'll second it.
We got a second? Okay, so do we need a vote? Roll call.
Roll call vote. Chair Greenlee,
Aye.
Vice Chair Salmon,
Aye.
Mayor Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Cunningham,
I,
Park and Recreation Commissioner Sewell, Committee Member Glassman,
Aye.
and Committee Member Custard.
Aye.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank
everybody.
you, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
We'll
all.
be in touch.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Okay, next we have presentations and discussion items. Item D, continued discussion regarding the relocation of the flood preserve.
of the, oh,
Okay.
yes.
So we had a brief discussion about this at our last meeting. The committee asked staff to confirm with Public Works how many hydrants there were for relocation. The committee had discussed potentially several clusters of hydrants if there were enough versus just one dedicated location. So I confirmed with Public Works that they have 12 painted hydrants from the former preserve, and then 3 to 4 hydrants that are out of service, and
I was
about
gonna say,
5 or
there's more.
6 that are out of service standard hydrants, not yet painted, but could be incorporated to a dedicated cluster. So there's quite a few
So
to,
that's a total of, just wait.
it's like 20.
Well, hold on, I think that's inaccurate because there's a bunch of them behind there's a bunch of them behind the bathrooms. at the
Oh,
park.
in the community park, yes.
So is that included?
That's
in that?
separate. That's
So-
totally
But-
separate.
Just the plug preserve and what's in store.
But if we're finding a home for hydrants.
Yes.
We did talk about that.
We might, well, because I wasn't here last meeting, so I don't know.
Yeah.
We might want to find a home for all of them
Mhm.
together.
Yes.
So that's another what, 6?
So there's probably 6 or 8 back there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So approximately 20 to 22.
I think one of the.
And there'll be more over time.
Yes, correct.
Part of the conversation that got everybody pretty jazzed when you weren't here last time was maybe choosing a few different.
Yes.
Yes. To have some here, some there. A cluster them.
So that they're destination points.
Right, I also,
Had a great idea.
oh,
So placing them a different part of
Yeah,
town
yeah,
and having, you know, how everybody has those QR code. That we could have a little history tidbit, like when they're placed, and it could be a scavenger hunt of finding each hydrant would have a story because they all have a story. And have them, as you come to the hydrant, you put your QR code and you get a little bit of history. And for some of them, if there's room, there could be a bench. Next time.
You know how I react when you say that?
I would like to throw out too, I think what I'd like to do is us think about all the places and we could do them all. But something for us to think about, it might be fun in terms of the process to consider possibly a theme for each space.
Yes.
So that we're not just,
Mismatch.
right, so that we're thinking of what the theme, and it could be anything from, you know,
Historical figure.
it could be historical figures, it could be plant-based
Yeah.
ideas, it could
Animals.
be
Animal. characters.
animal-based, it could be fantasy, whatever, but
Right.
to do that,
It would be nice to look at them.
to look at, for
And
us to
curate
just,
them.
yes, and
Yeah.
look at those kind of things.
Kind of
And
curate them.
if here's a question that I want to put out. If we're thinking that the community is going to be involved in this, then I think that we would have to have the community member propose within that theme what that hydrant would look like.
Wait, what do you mean?
So do they all have already a personality or already have a design? So.
Well, there's some that are blank.
Correct.
Those are,
So
No, that's what I'm saying,
So the
yeah.
one that are blank, could it be like an opening to the public
yes,
to sponsor?
but
It sounds like you're
So-
saying about a possible theme, though, that they
Yeah.
have to be.
yeah, so when so for a little bit of background.
Uh-huh.
This program went dormant for a really long time.
Mhm.
And when I was on Park and Rec, I resurrected the program. And I cataloged all the hydrants in town and who they were.
Mhm.
There's like a master list somewhere. And it has like, this one's Muhammad Ali, this one's Sacagawea or whatever, Pocahontas, so on and so forth. Some of them were people in Brisbane, like there was a B, that was B Lawrence. And then as part of the program, what I thought made the most sense at that time was to, if it was already entered into the collection, then that hydrant is repainted with the same theme.
Yeah.
Sometimes though, people go rogue.
Yeah.
And they just paint over and they paint something new, which is, sometimes sad. It's sometimes great. Like there was a koala, I think, and now it's, which was the one that's now, Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Oh, it was not.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
something before, it was RPG.
Yes, you're right.
She just showed up as RPG,
Yeah.
right? Which is, I'm cool with that, but, so I think that, so at the time we said if there's any new, you want to propose something new things are only on blanks, and you got to propose what you're planning to do.
Yeah.
And then we approve or not, like 1 year, you did one, there's just the city, as me as a city at that time, strategically reached out to people who I knew could handle a canvas and say, you know, would you be interested in this idea? So I think that that's probably, you know, a good policy to maintain.
Right.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
We need to have, if it's within a theme, if they're unpainted ones and within a theme, then we would want to have a proposal of what that's gonna look like.
Can we bring a koala back, please?
Isn't it? It's still there?
The one by the village.
it's right by the
has
village.
koala, it's sister cities.
Yeah, I was thinking that that was RBG, but then I realized later it wasn't.
Yeah.
I have a real quick clarification though. My understanding though, that that would be still under the park and recreation umbrella, and the word is more focused on where to place them. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Where's
Yes.
the line?
Well, if,
Like, we're not looking at the proposal, park and recreation or
Yeah.
staff is
Yeah.
looking at. it,
right, but if we may want to suggest something to Park and Rec
in
and
terms
say,
of
we
a
suggest this type of,
And
but it could be fun. It's kind of fun to just see what people come up with, like, you know, we might say historical figures, animals, and, you know, something else. And then there's that one that was the coolest of all time. It was a lightning bolt over by Silver Spot.
Oh, yeah.
It was gradient and something like that. It might not.
Nature.
We could have MISC, so that gives like BDW, that is like a totally different one, other than what we might have thought of. So maybe there's a MISC category.
The one in front of the chiropractor that's got the bones and the.
Yeah, it's Day of the
Day of
Dead,
the Dead.
but they did it because
Yeah, I suggest.
the Abneys did it.
Yeah.
Because their business,
Right.
yeah, which is awesome.
It's enough favorite.
We also, as part of the thing, and I don't know if it's something you still uphold, but there's nothing that's an overt person in town. Like they did one as homage to B. Lawrence, but it was a B, it's still a B. And there's the one across from Madhouse, it's a genie, which is homage to Jeannie Berman Hosking, who started this, but it's a genie.
Right.
And then there's the one by the school.
Yeah.
It's a Giants player.
Yes.
But that's kind of homage to
A resident that
a
passed away.
resident, yeah, that passed away.
Oh,
So
I
it
didn't know that.
has to kind of be like, it's still a little bit of a character versus just like,
Yeah, portrait.
I'm painting myself.
although.
But that's the QR codes
But the QR codes.
would be great because you
Yeah.
can learn about, it's not just a beat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
I mean,
those
so
are-
you're educating me.
but those
I
are
don't
not
know
at the
about
plug
this.
preserve.
Well, this.
Those are throughout
Oh, yeah.
town.
Right.
Yeah,
The QR codes can go
but the
on.
QR code could work for all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because one could be about,
But they're
pick it, it could be a history about growing up in Brisbane.
Redwood City has a very robust public art program, and they use a Google map. Where if you're on, it has a pin dropped at all the various public art installations, murals, sidewalk decorations, all of those things. And you can click on the pin and it will give you a photo of the art and a description of the artist, a link to the
Very cool.
website. So the
Yeah,
QR
something,
code.
whatever that is, yeah.
Yeah.
Would be great.
That just makes it much more interesting for even a visitor.
Yeah.
Right.
you
You're
could-
engaging.
this is
Is it
something
something
to walk. It could be the.
Is it something that is it something that this fund could help Park and Rec make happen?
I would think so.
Yeah,
I think
I
it's
think
public
so.
art. I think we could also spray paint a QR code right on the sidewalk. Too, like if because I think like installing a plaque or something
Whatever. is
hard,
easier.
but we could probably just spray paint something. Some of them are in weird spots, but that in it of itself, besides thinking about putting the plugs in all different locations, if we incorporated all of the existing hydrants, that's already gonna get people walking too.
Yeah.
My thought when I was thinking about where this should go, because I've gotten so many frantic like calls, like people crying about this.
Yes.
Yeah, like really, really upset.
Where'd they go?
Where did they go?
Well, also that there's no plug preserve, and I think that, you know, the thing with that we do have a plaque. And it is there to honor like the women's club who started this. So I think having at least one large site
Yes.
where that,
Have 20.
yeah,
Yeah.
just saying,
Yeah.
one large site. And I think it should be a place, all of them should be a place that are accessible via walking. And I would say that like there are some places on this, in these attachments that are much more walked than others. For example, I don't think people are really walking around around the signboard.
They're not.
Nobody is, yeah.
And to really appreciate the hydrants, you have to be close because the scale is small. And if you're wanting people to interact with the plaque and with the QR codes, they need to be a place where people are actually walking. So I would say, looking at like where the Christmas trees adjacent to that, or
I even like that little seating area in the trees.
Yeah.
You could tuck them around the
It's
benches.
all part of the same area.
definitely.
And the entrance to Quarry Road.
Entrance to Quarry Road, I think is a good one. I think that place like needs, that area needs some love
It needs
anyway.
Yep.
But a lot of people walk right by there. It's
Yeah.
community garden and the
Trail.
trail. And there's a great place for signage there already. I think the other places are kind of small, quite frankly.
And somebody had mentioned, you
For
know,
the
like
park.
around the basketball
did see
courts and
Say,
whatever.
Tom?
They just
For the park.
Can
Can I make a suggestion?
Oh, yeah.
Hi,
Diane?
Yeah.
can I make a suggestion? Because there's a lot of discussion and it's kind of going all over the place right now. What if we go through each of the possible locations, location by location, and everybody on the committee can talk about whether or not they think it's a good location for the plugs.
Maybe we can vote.
Could I add something? Could they be refurbished and turned into something different, like light for a pathway? Like, you know how like we have put all those solar lights on all the walkways? Could the fire hydrant be transformed into lights? And have like the fire hydrant path? Or that's not in the budget and.
I guess it depends on where you're suggesting.
I think there's a bunch of paths that do not have lights, like the one
They're not
by.
accessible to everybody. It's not wheelchair accessible.
Well,
The ones on Quarry Road.
One thing that we talked about prior to you joining the committee is like the pathways themselves being a priority. And a lot of that coincides with work that the city wants to do to add lighting, to like better maintain the walkways. And so when a lot of that funding comes from the county or outside, we apply for grants. So like we're talking about constructing brand new walkways. So once the city is awarded a grant and we can begin construction on that, then art can be an integral part of the planning, whether that's the lighting or benches or mosaic tiles down the stairs. So I think that where your thought is right where this committee has talked about, focusing, but I don't know that using plugs is necessarily
The way to go.
Yeah, I think we want to wait until we.
Let's go through the pictures.
Yes, good
Yeah,
idea.
let's go through the pictures.
Community park.
Well, there's also alternatives.
Yes, and we can
outside of it.
add.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so we have around the signboard, first picture.
No, my
No.
first picture is.
No, my
Oh,
first
I'm
one
sorry.
is-
Sorry.
So that's adjacent to the festival trees. I would say big yes.
I say yes.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
I like
How
that.
many yeses do we have? Just
It's unanimous.
1, 2,
Yeah,
3.
Well, Diane, we have to hear Diane.
Yep, I say yes to that one too.
Okay.
It's her idea.
So Unanimous. That's great.
So
Corey is next.
No, the next one.
No, it's the-
The front, the signboard.
That's a no for me.
That's a no for me.
That's a.
Plus, people are looking at the sign.
yeah.
No, that's too much.
Except, can I make a comment though about having at least a couple of them
On the
on the
side.
signboard, because that is ostensibly the entrance to the city.
Well,
And
people
if
do,
this,
but-
and we've talked about that the plug preserve, that the fire hydrants are something that Brisbane is known for. That it is something that is quirky about our city. It's been mentioned in like tourist guides and things like that, that it would be nice to have at least a couple of them around the signboard so that when people are coming into the city, they will see them. They may not come and they may not walk around it because there really isn't great walking area there. But having a couple of them visible, to me, would not be
Oh, but really.
a bad idea.
Yeah, I like that idea, like even three, like going around the front, boop, 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 you know?
I'm still a no on it.
Meaning.
I get the,
Well, let's see if we have
I get the
enough.
comment, but.
Okay, for the.
Yes, no, maybe? Can we-
Yes, no,
can we-
maybe, but
Well,
yes,
I want to give reasons
Okay.
why it's a no for me.
okay.
Because, I think that for entrance to town piece, this is something we've discussed extensively, and this is something that I think this committee really wants to create a specific entrance to town piece. That was the intention behind skate park gate. So I think that there is going to be the opportunity to have that piece, could be right there, or it could be on that wall. I still think that the scale is too small, and if we're a big yes on the image before near the Christmas tree, to me, that's just, not that many yards away. To me, that's still entrance to town. That's our first big intersection. So
I agree with that too. I agree with both of you. I can see that, but
That's why
I,
I'm saying maybe.
huh?
That's why I'm a maybe on that.
Yeah, I'm a maybe.
And how about the Christmas tree lot? That's also a city and that's right the entrance. That would not be a useful.
No, that.
I would think they might get stolen over there.
Yeah.
Maybe
They would not be
How-
anchored.
locations do we feel is appropriate?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Let's go, can we just go through them? We have a yes, a maybe.
Okay.
And then we already have some behind. Is the third one?
Yeah, behind the.
Behind there. So that's already a done, right?
Yeah.
Or you can move those here.
Right, but I'm just saying, so far we have them, so it's a yes, so they're there.
Oh, I
That's
see
all
what
I'm
you
saying.
mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the Quarry Park and Trail.
Wait, we have another
This.
one.
Oh, really?
This is going around.
Someone mentioned behind the gazebo.
And I'm a no on that.
I'm a no on that one.
Right here.
I'm a no on that as well.
Keep going, go one more.
Okay, all right.
Okay, Then we go to Quarry Road.
Yeah, Oriami, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a yes on that one. That one needs some.
You're a yes?
That's a yes for
It's a yes.
Fun.
It's a yes.
Quarry Park, yeah.
People are, yes on Cory. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, okay. And we don't have any other sites that were. identified?
We have
Okay.
Park.
Why don't you guys have,
I'm a no there, because I
why don't
think
we
that
have
should be
first
some-
park on this list?
Let's go here.
Say other listed as other alternatives. I think.
Okay.
We'll get there.
So skate park.
But this.
I'm a no.
I'm a no on that.
Yeah, it's not big enough space.
We need to get our mural up
The
there,
entrance to
man.
the garden.
Something, but I don't think that's.
No one's
No.
skate park.
No on skate park.
No,
Okay.
that space actually gets trashed pretty regularly, and I think that they were thinking about possibly putting a locker there for exercise equipment in the future.
That's a good idea.
And it's not city property anyway, so it's a no.
Oh, this corner one?
This corner
The basketball
is
court?
Yeah.
proposed.
Oh.
No.
this
Basketball
one
court.
is-
Oh, you're
The
now
entrance,
talking. I'm a no there too.
Why did we take the tree out of there? I don't know.
There was a tree.
That was a great.
There was a beautiful tree there.
Who knows?
There's no shade there at all.
So we said no?
No.
No.
Okay. And then Mission Blue, which is interesting because, there are people up at Mission Blue.
Yeah, and this part is really used.
Yes, it is.
I'll tell you my feelings about Mission Blue. I think it'd be fine, but I think it's more important for Mission Blue to have an overall landscaping maintenance
Overhaul.
overhaul.
That is
There's
a
not really a
different
good
question
patch.
for a
Yeah.
different day, and it's.
That's what I'm saying.
But if we
It's on an
added
agenda
art.
somewhere.
But then I would add art to accompany it. I wouldn't put
Right.
it now because it's gonna.
Looks awful.
It could
It
come
looks,
later.
because the grounds don't look great.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
Do
So
we have painted hydrants at the ridge?
There's one here.
Yeah,
It's a Mission Blue, but because that's on city property,
Correct.
but throughout.
the other ones.
Yeah, so that's an important,
It's painted.
that's an important piece of information that there's no painted hydrants at the ridge except for on our property,
Correct.
right there.
It Isn't the rest of them governed by the
HOA,
homeowners
yeah,
association?
So I feel like this, while all of it is Brisbane, I do feel like the plugs being painted is kind of a core part of central Brisbane.
I disagree with that, in that I think that they're a fun part of Brisbane that the Ridge deserves to be included in.
Oh,
I-
absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that as
The
well.
landscape up there.
But does it have to be in the landscape? I mean, it could be on some hardscape.
What about by
Where would
the
it go?
signboard up top there? People walk by that all the time. You could put your.
Yes,
Yeah, that's a
yes.
big intersection. The Monarch and-
you mean on the corner?
On the corner there,
That's during elections,
And
that's all the, where all the signs go.
No, don't, yeah, I would.
Oh, yeah.
I would need to see a picture of where they would go up here, you know, it's just too wide of a photograph for me to make a determination, but I do think it'd be fun to have them up there. I don't know if they even have fire plugs throughout the ridge. I don't know what kind of,
The HOA.
Yeah, they do, but they're just plain hydrants.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're governed by HOA, not us.
Their HOA should just let them be painted.
but they're normal fire hydrants, so not
Well,
the
maybe
modern ones
someone
that
could
come out.
just reach out to the HOA people and ask them if they're interested in doing that.
Good luck.
I'm just saying.
They're not,
Three
they're not
HOAs.
allowed to put different colored planters in front of their homes.
Right, it's all very.
All right, should we get that through the list here? Other alternatives?
We can go rogue.
Recommendations?
Yes.
I honestly think, although I guess it's just kind of an idea, the first park sign area would be kind of fun to put like
Yes,
a view.
Yes,
Yeah,
first part.
Yes.
And they're not totally accessible.
yeah, those would be fun.
I can see you all turning this park into just this gorgeous thing again.
Yeah, yeah.
to me, I think 3 locations makes sense. I think any more and it's like too spread out.
Plus you want to know about.
How many have we got?
But I think that like,
2022.
I think that if you could take all the ones that are behind the park, I don't think that they're in, well, I don't know, I feel like they should be getting more airtime than what they're getting.
You know what, maybe, this is just an idea, but instead of moving them from that spot, maybe we find them some cool pedestals, so they're a little bit more raised up and different levels, so that they're.
Do we
I
still
do
want
too.
to do a project in that space?
Well, we may, but the point is that they're there and I see people watching them all the time.
Yeah, and kids can. play
And
on
kids,
them.
yeah. So for the time being, I
Dogs
think
love
they
'em.
should stay.
Tom,
It's true. Paint them all like dogs.
okay, so let's say, do the math, let's say we have 20.
did.
Let's say, if we do the math, let's say if we have 21 hydrants, that's 7 per site, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a
So we could dilute that a bit. Could
Yeah,
do maybe
so we can
4
change this.
places.
All right, what do we got yeses on then? Let's have a look.
7? I feel like that's appropriate.
I have a
Arouse one
question.
first with Jen.
Diane.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I don't know how else to get
it's
your
fine.
attention.
No,
but
no, no, please.
How many,
Yes, fine.
how many,
Diane.
how many plugs were in the original preserve on visitation?
12.
So there were 12.
Okay.
And that wasn't
Overwhelming.
crowded.
It's a small spot too.
It was a small spot. No, I'm just saying that, I mean, I think that it doesn't, like seven in each location wouldn't be bad. I think even looking at like where the festival tree is, might lend itself to more
Yes.
than 7. So it's like that would allow for a variation in number, which I think would actually, that suits my chaotic brain a little bit more than dividing them up so evenly.
Right.
Yeah, I was just.
Yeah.
I was thinking,
But-
you know, the Quarry Park and Trail entrance, there could be easy 12 there.
Oh, yeah.
Easy.
Well, that could be fun.
Yeah, no,
Even
I'm not,
going up
I'm saying it'd
past
be
to the
really fun.
tables.
But I like these 3 sites. I think that we have enough and
Well, is it 3 or is it 4?
It's 4.
oh, it's 4?
Because I think that 3, I don't know,
Okay,
we
what do we got?
moved the
We
ones
got
out from
the
under the-
Christmas tree
maybe
area.
Underneath
Go
the
ahead, Tom.
trees. I'm sorry.
I would love one at City Hall, just one.
Yes.
That's just stoic.
Right. Ooh.
I could do
We
it.
can put one in where the plaques are out here with volunteer of the year.
Yeah.
It just reminds you it just reminds you when you walk in that
That's who we are.
this place has got some character.
I like
Good
it.
idea.
Mhm, too.
One of the new ones, you can paint one of the new ones.
Yeah.
Good idea,
It should be
Tom.
themed around government, I would say.
And the
City of
artist
Brisbane.
that's
I
volunteer.
did one when I was, honestly, I could reproduce what I did in 1776 when I was what? 12 years old or something.
1776.
Yeah.
You were born in
No, I mean.
Wow, okay.
1976.
We knew she was an alien. She is an alien.
Bicentennial for a second. I'm like,
No, 1976, I painted one with an American Eagle plaque on it. It was very cute. But anyways, no, we could come up with something.
That's what you painted here in Brisbane?
No, that's what I painted in Houston, Texas, in
Oh,
my little cutout shorts.
the one we always did in Brisbane was Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's the one I grew up painting and I had a really hard time understanding what
I don't
Uncle
like
Sam.
It's
meant.
outdated. He's
Yeah,
outdated.
But I think he's long gone. He's way long gone.
Something fun.
It's the one at City.
So one at City Hall.
City Hall.
Yes.
And then if we go to the community park,
Park.
not where the tree goes, but in that,
Yeah,
you're
around.
talking about where
There's a
the,
lot. We could put a lot there.
That's the
Yeah.
best spot, I
That's
think,
the
for
best.
growth, for the plaque, for the majority of them.
For visitors.
Yeah, is there a plan for the tree to come back?
Yeah.
Yes, there is. So we would just do
Adjacent to.
the tree would be in this
It's
patch over
tree.
here and this would be
Oh, okay.
over here on this.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's accessible to everybody.
Everybody.
And this one
And
is
it's visible to driving by.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also.
And then it makes more questions. Who are these crazy people?
So this is a yes.
So I'm hearing one at City Hall. And then the other two primary locations are Community Park and the at Quarry.
And
Bird.
And Bird.
Okay.
So that's.
And then behind the restrooms is already done. So
Yeah.
that's already
We're gonna
40
leave.
spots. So those are done. So we
Yeah,
just
unless
added-
you want to
okay.
fill out another area that's more prime.
No.
No.
People already know the ones in the park that are behind the bathrooms. I think
Yeah.
people already know they're there. I think they should actually, I mean, that's my opinion. I think they should just stay there for now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that
I
they
agree
should-
with
They should.
They might need a facelift over like a little bit, but.
Okay, and it's equal distribution of the other hydrants between those three locations or?
We'll just look at them and group them.
Okay,
I think we should.
It would be great to
Catalog-
get a
catalog.
catalog,
Yes.
Group them.
yeah, of all of the ones. And
Different
I,
And
categories.
we can do a field trip.
Yeah, make.
I
categories.
might have the original list.
it's been way updated since, so we have
Oh,
it.
great. So there's
Okay, so
one
you know who
place.
is who then?
Oh, great.
Okay, yeah.
You and,
Fun
maybe you
project.
and I can
So
sit
maybe
down
at our
and
next,
detail further.
our next committee meeting, whenever that is, which we have to figure whatever that is,
Uh-huh.
we could have the catalog of what we have.
Yeah. And then even some blanks if we want to fill in.
Well, the blanks we could, yeah, for City Hall.
Okay,
All right.
okay.
Does that work for everyone?
Do we want to talk about your suggestion on themes?
Well, let's see what we have. We have
Next
to have a.
Yeah.
Okay,
You see what I'm saying? It may not, the suggestion may have been there, but if there already, there's no.
There may be
theme
clear-
happening,
yeah.
Or it may be clear that there is.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are the other ones in town? Do they need to be refreshed or are they?
oh, they
Very
always need to be
They're
refreshed.
refreshed year. I mean, they have.
We have like a catalog that has like their existing conditions, so that when we do the event every other year, we try to identify like the high priority ones
Got it.
that need a refresh.
So that's every other year.
Yeah.
Do you know what happened? Can you ask Randy where the clown is? Because the clown was so good and it's missing. And also where the one wears or Beauty Fix.
Mhm.
There's that hydrant right there.
Mhm.
And Cliff Lentz's daughter painted it like a snow girl.
Snow
Uh-huh.
pitches, yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think
I have
it's a
photos of that one.
it's a new, I noticed and I was like, well, it's not hasn't showed up behind the park, hasn't showed up the pub preserve.
Okay.
And that one was
Right, that was
so
beautiful.
good.
Okay, I will ask about those too.
I'm pretty sure it's replaced, but she had originally painted it all black with just the
Yeah.
girl. And then she was almost done and I saw it and I said, the fire department's got like one rule and it's that they can't be black because they can't see them at night.
Mhm.
So she painted it all and came up with a whole new theme on the spot and it was like the snow girl. So that one,
On the wall upstairs?
I have a big
Yeah,
print of it, I think.
yeah.
All right.
That's in your office.
It's not in my office, but it's on the wall up there.
Yeah.
Okay, nice to
Okay,
be
here we go.
doing
Let's
something
keep going.
fun.
Okay. Can we move
Okay.
on to item E? Okay. Which is discuss potential opportunities at Firth Park.
All right, we can segue right into that. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay, so we talked about some kind of quick win projects that the committee could tackle. And Firth Park kind of rose to the top of the conversation. There's a few existing pieces of public art there that include the helix, and there's photos of included in the two attachments. So you can see the helix structure and the turtle and the name marquee, which is barely visible anymore.
Yeah.
But it did used to say Firth Park, using some tiles. That's the Park and Rec Commission did a field trip site visit there a couple months ago. So there is some existing art that just needs some TLC and some refreshing, but there's also other opportunities for art within Firth Park. And those are provided on attachment 2. Either utilizing the staircase and creating some art there. There's a fallen tree that could be turned into some type of seating or play amenity for kids. There's some benches that could use some updating. I know that the last time we met, the committee discussed a possible fence along Glen Park Way for safety.
Which could be an artistic.
Could be an artistic piece.
You know, cut
Yeah.
metal, something.
So hang on, the fence was to stop the cars accidentally running into the park or the kids.
The kids running into the street.
Low, not really a barrier, but just to keep the kids from running. out.
So they would
Otherwise,
stop if they.
Yeah.
Yes.
We can also do hedges like we have at the community park.
That'd be a little.
Right?
Well, Community Park has hedges and fence.
Yeah, the hedges and fence, yeah.
But
That's a bit much more
I
traffic.
mean, there's some really beautiful cut metal barriers that could be artful and attractive as you're driving along, and a barrier without kind of taking up too much of the lawn area. I kind of wanted to keep the lawn area for the kids.
It should be kind of organic.
Fun.
Can I make
Yeah.
a suggestion?
Organic, yes.
I think that for us to refurbish or to do the turtle and do the helix.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think for considerations of what the kind of slowing into the street for children, as well as the marquee and the benches and all of that, I think that should be an artist who's going to come up with an
Yes,
entire
maybe.
idea for that
Oh,
area.
that's a great idea.
So that we're not piecemealing.
Yeah.
Good idea.
That's my hit.
To have the
The
more.
more-
I can also see us finding a way, if we felt that was like a really big problem. I could see us finding a way to have Public Works or someone else solve that if we, like, I think doing something really cool with tiles where the Firth Park. 'Cause
Oh,
that's what you
yeah.
see
That's what
when
I'm
you
saying, but
come
let's
up.
talk, yeah, I think an artist should.
An artist should do that.
All of that. They should
Yes.
be looking at the marquee, the idea of us wanting some kind of barrier to slow children down, as well as the
Yeah.
steps and the benches that are presently there. Or what do they do with that space? I think we can,
commission something.
yeah, that would be part of what we do as a committee, is get someone to commission to do that.
That's a
All
good
of those things, or just give us
Yeah.
a proposal?
No,
as a
That would be.
Not including the helix and the turtle that. can-
no,
Yeah,
not-
that- yeah.
no, that's not what we do.
That's part of the rules. You have to keep them there. So
Yeah.
that's-
Yeah, we can do that, yeah.
I know.
But
so
to let
somebody-
somebody
get rid of those.
vision,
I like that because then it could
Because
be
it's
like a
cohesive.
cohesive, yeah.
It's cohesive, it's got an idea, we can talk about them, they can give us ideas as opposed to us having 120 ideas, which is gonna make the whole place.
And we don't have to work at it. We can just let them work at it.
Yeah. I'll say though, I think that if someone was doing tile work, like something with naming or signage, it's probably a different, I could be wrong, a different type of artist than somebody who would do a fence.
No,
don't think
hold
so.
on a second. I
No.
want to say something here. I haven't said anything. When you're looking at these pictures, that entrance to Firth Park that says Firth Park is stone.
Mhm.
And you go up to the stairs and there's a wall that is stone.
Mhm.
The steps are stone.
Mhm.
And then the, whatever that dedication.
Black.
Black.
That was a
Stone.
water fountain.
Yeah.
Yes, it was, is
And it's
stone.
Yeah, so maybe we find a stone.
I don't
market.
know. And then the big tree that's lying down, in my portfolio of benches,
Oh,
there
there's
was a
some
fallen
beautiful-
tree where they just cut into the tree and made the whole tree a bench.
Something.
Yeah, actually, Tim Kane's family does that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, Tim has given it to his kids now, but that's what
Yeah,
they
They
did
did that?
around, yeah.
I agree that you're looking at this as,
Chaotic.
it would be nice if it was one artist and possibly a stone artist who could come up with.
Just fell out of my head.
Or
Yeah.
just, we don't even, I don't
We
even
don't
want us
even
to
know.
limit it. That's what I'm
Right.
saying. I
Oh,
don't-
that's a good idea.
But yeah,
Yeah.
let's say these are the things, the elements that are there.
Mhm.
We put out a proposal
Mhm.
and we may find that we
Oh
don't
my
know.
gosh, we don't know what they're gonna come
Yeah.
up with. Yeah.
Also, I would like to think about how we define this spot. Is it like a playground? Is it a gathering area? Because little kid will play, we want to protect them. If we have activities for them, is it just climbing on the turtle or climbing on the Alex? Are we thinking of it as a playground? Or are we
I do-
thinking of it as a?
Historically, people have had picnics there.
Yeah,
along there.
picnics and the kids play on
And the
those.
kids do play on
So
the.
We're the art committee too, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a kind of a multicultural place as well as a place to sit, maybe read a
It's
book. or
quiet.
whatever.
Making it also accessible by having a path for people who have wheelchair or stroller, not just
This is
grass.
all part of the artist.
Mhm.
This is what I'm saying, yeah,
Yeah.
when we
Yeah.
put this together.
Mhm.
I love it. I think it's a great
And then you go
medium-sized
Across the
project.
street and go up
Mhm.
through the canyon and the rope swings. and
But I
the-
do think that the reason, one of the reasons it's a little underutilized is because it's a little dangerous with that road.
Absolutely, right.
I
So,
don't know, I think you're gonna get pushback on putting a fence there. I can see putting boulders there, which yes, kids can get through, but it
That's
would
okay.
stop a car. Like, I don't know. I think you might get pushback on,
Yeah.
on metal versus all the stonework, but that's
yeah,
just
well,
me.
okay.
But we can see what the artist says.
Yeah, maybe somebody comes up with a really beautiful stone.
We don't.
Well, should we
Awesome.
check with Public Works? Because Randy does have very he does have some reasonings for, like, when we talk about certain safety measures we want to
Yeah.
put into place, especially with traffic. There's things that we think make sense, like speed bumps, that from a Public Works perspective, combined with police, there's like all these reasons why they don't want to put them in.
And
So
fire.
maybe before we get
Well,
really
that's what I'm
attached to this idea, we might just want to run it by Randy.
That could be part of the proposal, those. Do you see what I'm saying? When we begin to look for someone who's looking at designing and implementing these ideas, those qualifications or those guidelines are part of the proposal.
Right.
Well, maybe there's an opportunity here to go through Complete Streets, which is Public Works and Randy involved, to say, here's an idea that we're proposing and do they want to weigh in on it?
Proposing that they,
The fence, I mean,
Well, or the barrier.
or the
whatever-
barrier,
whatever.
yeah.
Right.
The barrier.
right.
Like, if they say absolutely no way, then we don't want to include the list of places, like a
Right.
barrier to
It
on the
is a good
proposal and
idea.
have somebody.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Let's find
It
it
is a
out
good
so that we
Yeah.
include whatever those limitations are or
Exactly.
guidelines are.
So maybe we
inside
do a
the
little bit of
proposal.
background work
Right.
with Public Works to
Yeah.
find out.
Right.
So
So
they're in there.
They might also say they're gonna dig the whole thing up and do some major.
Drainage.
So should we just refocus then on doing the
Maybe
helix and
you can
the
ask
turtle?
Public Works. There's no harm in asking Public
We
Oh,
Works.
yeah, yeah, we're not on the back end.
I want to know what everybody thinks about refurbing the helix. That's.
Yeah, absolutely.
I already have a design. I actually was commissioned to do this before I got on any committees years ago, and then COVID hit.
Is it not affixed to the ground, right?
I believe it is.
Yeah.
It's very.
It's the turtle that's not.
The turtle is.
turtle is
not.
not.
Okay.
Turtle can be.
Very slowly. The turtle.
Sloth-like.
But the helix, I mean, I have the design, but I also think that we should hire an artist. to
That's
decide
what I'm
to me.
saying, yeah,
Yeah.
and it could be that the artist in their sensibilities,
Mhm.
we could end up painting it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying, I think.
So we want to do a RFP then?
Yeah, but we
I
need
would
to
say.
get the information
from Public Works.
I thought
But
you
we're
said.
talking
no,
about
the helix and helix apart.
They'll take forever.
So what I see
It'll
stage,
take forever with the other stuff.
Just like the boulders and all that, whereas we can maybe move forward on the helix. and
Oh, I see
not
what you're
trying to
saying.
separate
isn't that what you
them
said?
out.
Yeah.
The helix and the turtle.
Yeah,
separately?
yeah, needles and
Okay.
turtles separate, that's what I said.
So what I'm understanding is like phase one is an RFP to solicit an artist to do the helix and the turtle.
No.
Oh, why not?
Oh,
Why?
oh, okay, I thought you had it already and just.
Well, I do, but I can't do
Wait
it.
a second, do we really think we're gonna get an artist to respond to an RFP for such a small project?
That's what I mean.
Well, maybe we can
It would probably
invite,
be a local.
we could invite like Deanna Washington
Exactly.
or
Who I already
some
talked to.
Okay.
local artists.
You've also got a whole bunch of people who have been artists in residence at Recology as
Oh, that's
well,
good.
who do environmental art.
Oh, that's a
Um,
good idea.
Get the
That,
middle
you know, that
school.
they work on smaller scale commissions.
Okay.
I mean, I guess the question that I have is how much of what we're talking about falls under the jurisdiction of Public Works as far as the refurbishment of the park itself and the barrier, and how much of it falls under what our purview on this committee with talking about what should be on display within that space, like thinking of it more of like a gallery space. And so to my way of thinking, listening to the conversation is the first thing should be to talk to Public Works and find out what they've got planned
Yeah.
for that park. And then we can put together an RFP
Precise.
and a budget. I mean, we've got $1.85 million that, you know, that we can, so like taking 10 to 20,000 of it to commission artwork for that park is not going to take a huge chunk out of it.
Right.
But I would think that like talk to Public Works and then let's put together an RFP for what we want to see displayed in that space.
But we don't need to talk to RFP for the turtle and the helix.
That's all we're saying, yeah.
What stopped me in my tracks when I was commissioned actually to do this years ago was that they need major repairs. And Public Works was going to do it, and it never happened because COVID happened. But that needs to be first. So we need to figure out how we get them patched up and repaired in order for something to happen with them. That's
So they're
number one.
prepped.
Yeah, they gotta
Okay.
be prepped. They can't, I couldn't paint them the way they are now.
I see. Who does that?
Carmel Kabash was one person
Because
who
we need to
was
sandblast the
recommended.
helix probably, right? With
It-
all that. paint.
Yeah,
Their
probably, but
cracks, they need to
the
be
cracks need to be, there's stucco or cement, it's actually cement needs to be patched and it
I mean, the
can't come
Public
off.
Works probably knows contractors or
Yeah.
knows, that's what I'm saying, it's, the first stop is
You
Public
know,
Works.
Dan Sorrentino is gonna do it. And Carmel was gonna do it, and there are people in town, or Public Works probably knows people who can do it, but that's gotta happen first. That's-
Can they come to a meeting? Can they be a guest at the meeting, the next meeting?
Well, I think we have to be clear
Yeah.
first with our information from Public Works.
Right, can they be advised?
Yeah, Works
once
be-
that-
right.
once
Yeah,
that's
that's a
right.
good idea.
Okay. Cool. That's exciting.
Yep. Okay,
Great idea.
can we move on from this? I mean,
Yeah.
all right.
Oh, okay, it's on here. Never mind.
Diane, did you have anything else to say on that before we?
Nope. I'm good.
Thank you.
I don't see any public comment on that item or anybody who's here or anything.
Okay. So then we need to talk about our next meeting, discuss whether to have the next meeting on Monday, August 21st at 4:30, or take a summer break and resume on September 18th.
I think it would be nice to take a break. I mean, there's nothing pressing. We're not in the middle of working on a project. We just completed the big thing.
Right.
Plus, that's gonna go to council, who's not gonna be back until September anyway. Give staff time to work on talking and,
Yeah.
you know, maybe you could give us some bids for what it might take to repair that if, like with that extra time? Because I would assume that that would come out of our budget.
Yeah, I could talk to Public Works and then I can, if it makes sense to do so, I can reach out to somebody like Carmel. To see if we can get kind of.
When
a
you say
cost
our
estimate.
budget, you're not meaning the arts budget.
I am
Yeah,
doing the arts
yes.
budget.
For
That's a
repair- for
Repairing.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's an existing,
Yeah.
existing art piece, you know,
And our
maintenance.
our public works budget is beyond overloaded.
Yeah.
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 Since the landslide.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
But,
we have massive things.
but maybe they would be able to
They
just
can give an opinion.
give an opinion
Yeah.
and then we can take out of our budget.
Yeah.
It's not gonna cost much. to
Yeah.
patch.
No.
No.
Yeah.
So we could get a bid
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
you
I
can
just
give
want
us
their
the catalog,
Mhm.
gives you time to get the catalog together.
Yeah, and then
Okay,
we
and
also, for the next meeting, we'll have to review the proposals that we received for the public art master plan.
Yeah.
So that we.
Yeah, and
we
then you-
received 5.
All
Okay.
right,
Oh,
that's
nice.
nice.
And then you also, I think, Public Works, did you run the locations by Public Works for the plug?
Not yet, but I can.
So they
Now that we've
probably will have an
identified.
opinion on that.
Yeah.
As we've identified. When are we supposed to get back to the people who've applied? Because that might be too much.
I let them know. So the deadline for proposals was Friday. So
Okay,
they just turned them in last week.
okay.
I let them know that the committee might take a recess for August and then that.
It's really
September we would
important that we're
review.
all able to have a
So,
hand in
Okay.
that. So if you're gonna be out of town, I
No,
would
we're
say that's a
not.
deal breaker.
We were, Danielle reminded me we're here
Oh,
on the
okay.
21st.
Oh, okay.
Oh, but we're not doing it.
But we're not gonna be here in August anyway. We're taking August off.
Yeah, I just wanted to
So
make
we'll-
sure,
yeah,
because
no,
sometimes
I-
we say like we have a timeline
Yeah.
on how quickly we have to
No, I
respond.
agree.
Yeah.
Right.
We're okay.
Okay, so September 18th, is that the consensus? Okay.
No, I think so.
Nice.
Great.
Oh, I love this progress. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
All right.
It's like,
Yes, great. Okay, so I would like to adjourn the meeting if that's okay with everybody.
13.
It's a great.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
Have a good vacation.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye.
What time is it? 6:15?